So all fields have fundamental concepts, and the fundamental concept in any field are the overarching themes or uniting ideas in the field that bring all of the pieces of information in the field together. So basically every bit of information that you learn in this class can fit under one of these three fundamental concepts. These are the three overarching bits of information in that bring physiological psychology together. If 5 years from now all you remember from this class is these three things and you really get them, you actually get physiological psychology. And any information, any new information that you come across as you move through the rest of your life, you'll be able to understand because you understand these three overarching themes. So it's basically a way to bring together all those little bits of information that you learn in every class. So the three fundamental concepts in physiological psychology are that all behavior is the product of the combination of our genes and the environment. Neurons that fire together wire together, and behavior and cognition is controlled by interrelated groups of neural structures. So just a little bit key points about each of the fundamental concepts. First of all, for behavior cognition is controlled by genes in the environment. We are always combining genes in the environment. We do not say nature versus nurture. We're not versing these two things anymore. We know that it is always a combination of these things acting together that produces outcomes. You can speculate. You're going to probably have to speculate on something genetic or something environment, and that's okay. I'll show you examples of that. You can refer to our species heredity as the genetic component. These are the characteristics that make us as humans different from other animals. So the fact that we have intellectual functioning, the fact that we have language, the fact that we walk upright, the fact that we go into puberty when we're about 12 years old, those are all parts of our species heredity and they're genetically controlled, but they're part of the genes that make us humans versus kitty cats, puppy dogs, or snakes or other animals. It's good to know some common genetic conditions, and this is one of the things that you can speculate. These are things that there's good evidence that these are inherited, or they're highly heritable. Depression, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, homosexuality, personality traits, intelligence, and then of course physical appearance. Neurons that fire together, wire together, you're looking at the level of the neuron here. So commonly it's a good idea to talk about neurotransmitters here or single individual neurons. And then behavior cognition is controlled by neural structures. What you're going to want to identify is a group of areas of the brain that are all acting together in sequence. So the example I'm going to give you here is movement. There's another example in your module for test 2. So listen to this one, read over that one, and I hope that this will help. So this is the primary motor cortex right here. So gene-environment combination. So the primary motor cortex is inherited as part of our species heredity. All humans have a primary motor cortex. If it's combined with experiences like learning to write, learning to cut, then we will have good fine motor movements in our dominant hand because you need to have environmental stimulation of the motor cortex, and it's actually experience that makes us dominant in one hand. Neurons that fire together, wire together. Another topic within movement is the patellar tendon reflex, and here you can see that it's done by a sequence of neurons, individual neurons connecting together, sensing the stimulus right here, then looping through the spinal cord and coming back out to stimulate the motor nerve, the muscle right here to make the leg kick. So because this is an example at the level of the individual neuron. It is an example of neurons firing together, wiring together. So the more, this is a reflex that's there already, and the more you do it, the stronger the reflex will become. And then interrelated groups of neural structures. This is the primary motor cortex, and it's the primary control for muscle movement, but you can see that there are areas of the brain that feed into it, and then it feeds into other areas of the brain to affect our movement. So here's a brief description of that. So movement begins with planning in the association areas, which are before the motor cortex. It moves to the motor cortex, and then the movement is modified by a number of other areas of the brain. So I hope that helps with how to answer the fundamental concepts. We are always happy to review drafts of your essay answers before the test, if you'll send them to us before the test. So please do that, because we want you to get full credit on these examples.